Hi girls, welcome back to another wonderful week of Farby and 10. As the big day of Yud Shvat approaches, the day that officially ushered in the Dar HaShvi, the seventh generation that will witness the coming of Mashiach. Yud Shvat is the day that the sun set and the sun rose. And when the Rebbe said Basi Lagani, the famous words that we are here in Hashem's garden, we are here to get the world ready for the coming of Mashiach. The Rebbe laid the groundwork for us very clearly. And he also very clearly stated, don't think that I'm going to get the job done myself. We're in a partnership together. We are going to make this happen together. And here we are, the children of the Rebbe, Hasidim of the Rebbe, in this partnership with one goal in mind, to bring about the coming of Mashiach. How lucky are we to have been chosen to be the Rebbe's partners in this holy mission, to be the Rebbe's partners in ensuring that the world will ultimately come about to its final stage and the day of the coming of Mashiach. So there was an Israeli general, and after one of the wars in Israel, sadly he was having a very difficult time recovering. 33 of his soldiers, his close boys, passed away, and he was responsible for every single one of them. He was responsible for telling their parents the news. He was responsible for taking care of their physical needs and their emotional needs. And 33 of his soldiers didn't make it through. He was taking a trip to New York, and he was encouraged to go to the Rebbe to seek the Rebbe's guidance, bracha, and advice. And at first he refused to go, being a little bit from more of a secular background, but finally with encouragement, he made a time to see the Rebbe for a private Yehudis. And when he turned to the Rebbe, in the Rebbe's office, he burst out crying and he says, Rebbe, 33 of my soldiers lost their lives. 33 of my soldiers. And the Rebbe looked at him, and with deep pain and deep sympathy, the Rebbe said, it's so painful to know that 35 of your soldiers have passed. And the general repeated, Rebbe, 33 of my soldiers. And the Rebbe again says, it's so painful to know that 35 of your soldiers have passed. And the Yehudis continued. The general left the Rebbe's room. He thought to himself, no need to argue with the Rebbe. I said 33, he says 35. I guess the Rebbe doesn't really know what he's talking about, but that's fine. I'm not going to argue. But sadly, when he came back to Israel, he found out the news that 2 soldiers that were in critical condition in the hospital passed away when he was in America. And at this point already, the general was curious to know how was it that the Rebbe knew that 2 of those extra soldiers that have passed away, to his knowledge, he knew that they passed away before he himself even knew. So the next time he came to America, he made an appointment for another private Yehudis. And when he gets into the Rebbe's room, he turns to the Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, now my question is different. How did you know that there was 35 soldiers when I told you they were 33? And the Rebbe became very serious. And the Rebbe said, every single neshama that comes into this world comes through this door and these 4 walls. And he pointed to his office. Every single neshama that leaves this world comes through this door and these 4 walls. And I saw that 35 of the soldiers have left. Girls, we are so lucky to be Hasidim of the Rebbe, where the Rebbe is the Rosh B'nai Yisrael, the leader of the Jewish people. Every single neshama is connected to the Nasi, and we are that one-on-one partner with the Rebbe himself. So as Yud Shvat approaches, it's kind of time to fine-tune our hiskashrus. Every single year we go for a physical checkup. We're there to check on our physical well-being. We're there to check on our, every part of our body to ensure that it's all in sync and working. Once a year as a chassid, we need to ensure that I'm intact with my spiritual connection, with my hiskashrus to the Nasi, and Yud Shvat is that day to do so. So I put together 4 suggestions, and clearly there are so much more. And hopefully this can be a helpful tip to be able to reflect as we approach Yud Shvat. So number one is the power of going to the aisle. For those of you who live close to Crown Heights, for those of you who live close to Queens, or for those of you who, when you travel to New York, to ensure that you go to the aisle. The aisle is a place where the Rebbe says the brachas don't only come for you, but for your whole entire family when davening at the aisle. The aisle is a place where the neshama of the person merges with the body and is allowing the brachas to flow into your life. Thousands and thousands of people have received brachas when going to the aisle. Number two, a Rebbe video. We're so lucky that with the tip of our fingertips, we have access to looking at a video of the Rebbe. 1 minute. The Rebbe says that just by gazing at a picture of the Rebbe, we're able to have the kayach to be able to fight our Yetzer Hara and to be able to do what we need to do these last moments of Galus. The Rebbe finds his way of connecting to us. And when we look at a video of the Rebbe, we watch the Rebbe singing, we see the Rebbe's energy, we listen to a talk that the Rebbe gave and learn from the lessons and from those teachings. The power of watching a video. Go onto your phone and download an app. Gem has beautiful videos that they send out. Just click on the button and every day you're able to just watch 1 minute of the Rebbe's energy, and that energy will be able to be transmitted to you as well. Number three, the power of writing to the Rebbe. So many of us have this hachana syndrome where we shy away from writing to the Rebbe because we say, I haven't written in so long, I don't even know where to begin, and the pages are going to be so long, and I don't have the time yet, so I'll do it a different time, and I'm not ready, I didn't do my proper hachanas. Writing to the Rebbe means just taking the time, a few minutes, once a week, once in 2 weeks, and just give the Rebbe nachas. Let the Rebbe know what's going on in your life. Of course, ask for brachas, but the Rebbe wants to hear the good news too. There was once a chassid, and he was on his way to shluchas. The Rebbe turned to him and the Rebbe said, do you know how to write a duch? And he said, as a smart chassid, he said, no. And the Rebbe told him, keep a diary in your pocket. And whenever something important happens or something to kind of like retell, write that incident down on the paper. And after a week or two, put all of that writing into one paper and send it to me. I want to hear from you. I want to be able to hear from you, and I want the brachas to be able to flow to you. The power of writing to the Rebbe. There was a chassid who his daughter was feeling very ill, and the doctors were ready to give up hope. And it came to a point where the chassid sat down and he wrote a letter to the Rebbe, and this was the letter. He says, Dear Rebbe, my daughter is your daughter. I am giving over my daughter to you. Give her the brachas that she needs. And over a couple of days and weeks, the doctors miraculously, they had no understanding why this chassid's daughter was having a recovery. And the reason simply was, which you're right that they didn't know, this chassid wrote a letter to the Rebbe. Rebbe, my child is your child. I'm giving over my child to you. Write to the Rebbe. Let the Rebbe hear the news of what's going on in school. Let the Rebbe hear your challenges and your struggles, your achlatas, the things that you did well in school and the good friends that you're making. Take a few moments a week, every other week, and make yourself available to connect to the Rebbe through writing. And the last one, number 4, is chitas. Clearly the Rebbe saw that through the power of saying Sefer HaMitzvahs and through saying chitas, this is what's going to allow us to fight these last moments of galus. Whether it's for our protection, whether it's through the unity of all of us saying the chitas, the Rebbe saw with his holy eyes the power of saying chitas. Today, it's so much more accessible. Purchase a Chayenu. It's in English. It's with Nekudas. Download a Chayenu app on your phone. To give yourself that opportunity to be able to connect to the Rebbe with the Rebbe's teachings and the Rebbe's guidance. And the Rebbe wants to be able to connect to you too. But we need to start that connection. We need to create that relationship. So I want to conclude with a story. This past year, we had an elderly Russian man come to our Chabad house. And he came with his 35-year-old daughter. He knocks on the door. And surprisingly, we weren't really expecting his visit. He turns to my husband and he says, Rebbe, in this elderly Russian voice, Rebbe, give my daughter a bracha for a child. And at first my husband was going to make light of the situation. I'm not a Rebbe, I don't give brachas. And then he stopped for a moment and he said, every single one of the Rebbe's Chassidim, every single one of us, the Rebbe sent us on a mission, each one with our own shluchas in this world to make a dir b'tachtainim. And the Rebbe is using every single one of us as his hands and feet. No matter where you live, no matter what age you are, we are his shluchim. And so my husband turned to this elderly father and the girl and said, let's sit down and let's write a letter to the Rebbe. And they wrote a letter asking the Rebbe for a bracha for a child. I kid you not. You could read this in the books, but when you watch it live, it takes it on a whole nother level. 9 months and 1 week later, this girl had a baby girl, a beautiful baby girl. And just a couple of weeks ago, she came back to the Chabad house and she says, I'm bringing my child back to say thank you to the Rebbe. Girls, we are the Rebbe's hands and we are the Rebbe's feet. We stand on giants' shoulders. It's not because of us and it's not because of anything that we did that we were chosen to be the Dor HaShvi'i, and it's not because of anything that we did that we were chosen to be Chassidim of the Rebbe, but we were chosen. And with that comes a huge schus and a big responsibility. So l'chaim, that by this Yud Shvat we should be reunited with our Rebbe, Biguf, in Yerushalayim, and we'll be able to say, Rebbe, these are the children that we have raised. This is the generation that we have all together, collectively, unitedly worked hard to actually make the Dor HaShvi'i a reality and the generation of Mashiach. L'chaim, and looking forward to seeing you in Yerushalayim. We want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach.